Welcome everyone to the Preschool Neuroscience Summit. Today I'm really excited to have Jana York with us. She is coming to us from Thailand, where she has been working for many years. She's worked with military children and military schools for many years, and she is a mindfulness practitioner and coach and teacher, and has lots of very practical things for us to share. She's also the author of the upcoming book, You for Understanding, which is a wonderful story, and we'll learn more about that a little later. So welcome, Jana, and thanks so much for joining us today.
Oh, thank you so much, Helen. It's wonderful to be here, and it's so good to see you sort of in person on screen.
Yeah. One day it'll be in person. Yes. So Jana, tell us, first of all, how did you get involved in this mindfulness industry, in the process of teaching mindfulness? How did that come about?
Okay, sure, absolutely. So my first encounter was when I was working for the United States Army on a base in Japan, and I was first introduced by an Army physician, and his name is Dr. Michael Brumage, and he had a deep interest in this ACE study, the Adverse Childhood Experiences, and really what its role was in health and disease. And he was looking for effective and proven treatments for things like post-traumatic stress, PTSD, and suicide prevention, and really just helping overall in the community for their well-being. So that's, how the first conversation started. And he was involved with mentors like John Kabat-Zinn and Dr. Saki Santorelli. So from the University of Massachusetts Center for Mindfulness. So he had all the knowledge and all the understanding of mindfulness and how it can be helpful for anxiety and stress. So it's just a matter of how do we implement it. My role is a health promotion educator, so I'm teaching people about stress management and nutrition, but how can we bring in mindfulness? So we basically just decided, let's start offering introduction classes. So we started doing these 2-hour workshops and introduction to mindfulness, and we gathered interest, and we saw that people really were interested in their own self-care. So from that, we decided, let's go another step. Let's go a little bit farther. So we created these mindfulness-based stress reduction courses based on the curriculum, and just did 8-week courses of lots of inquiry and experiential practice. And so basically, it just started as a conversation. How can we help the community? And we just rolled into mindfulness. So.
Wow, I love it. Yeah, and it's such powerful work, isn't it? And so rewarding, I think, and personally, I think the practice, I always hear people when I interview them, they say, the practice affected them personally, and then they want to share it with everyone, which is very similar to me. So Jana, tell us a little bit about what you're up to right now, what the context that you're working in is, and maybe did anything change because of COVID? I know every place in the world is doing something different. So what's happening now?
Right. Well, I'm very fortunate where I am is that there's not as much restrictions, I think, right now, but it can change at any moment. So we're just kind of coming out of not having to, kids are able to go to school, put it that way. They're still wearing masks, and they're able to go to school. So I'm able to go into the school and teach. We just have all the restrictions that most people have, but we're fortunate to be able to go into the school systems. But I think, looking back on my experience of, just starting this, and I just noticed, Helen, it's been a decade. It's been 10 years since I was first introduced to it. So I've reached a milestone. But yeah. So, but after we were teaching the adults, we started having teachers become interested. And even a principal decided that she wanted to implement it into her school. So that's what got me going as far as the training and becoming certified to teach, for the younger kids. Yeah. And then they kind of took over. So they were able to have their program. So they have mindfulness in their program school, and this was in Japan. So after coming out of that, I wanted to continue with it. So I brought it to some of the international schools here in Thailand. So that's kind of what I've been doing with it now is, writing it. I wrote the guidebook for teachers, and hopefully we'll have this launched out soon. But because I see it more and more as to be a really good resource, especially if we're not able to be in the classroom and do a lot of things virtually. There's so many mindfulness activities that you don't have to be sitting right next to someone. You can see their face and you can communicate a lot that way as well. So
That's the good thing, isn't it? There, you can kind of adapt things, and we have this virtual platform. Of course, I think we all want that human connection in person, but good to hear that children are able to go back to school in Thailand. I think quite a few places. Well, it's very varied, isn't it? But my daughter's back to school in Denmark now, so so that's she's all happy to see her friends again, and of course they have precautions and things. So maybe you can tell us, Jana, some I think teachers would be really interested, some kind of practical activities that you think are really good, and maybe you could even share some of the things that you think work well virtually, because I'm sure a lot of people are also interested in that, because a lot of schools are still going to be online in the fall. So
yeah, this is good. This is really good, because that's what I like to share is the practical application and just give some ideas. And I'll share some of my teaching experiences and some of my things that didn't go so well. So So the first one is I always start out with attention, and it's trying to teach them about attention. We're told to pay attention, but we're not really shown how. So one of the illustrations, or one practical application is for teachers is to just take a flashlight and tell the students, let's pay attention to this flashlight. And she shines it around the room, maybe dim the lights a little bit, and show your attention might be over here on an object or over here, and then you get distracted. So you're just showing them how their attention is all over the place. And if they want to learn how to pay attention, they have to kind of zoom in. They have to zoom in. So you shine the flashlight on a specific object, and they see how that object becomes very clear because they don't have all these outside distractions. So I think that's a really good way to illustrate attention. And then one of the things that I've kind of come up with, created, is called the telescope eyes. So you're going to use you have your telescope, and you're going to really zoom in on objects, or maybe it's going to be your binocular eye. So if you're trying to pay attention, again, those outside distractions have to go away, but you have to have some way to have your lens of attention kind of zoom in. So once the children kind of understand, I need to pay attention to one thing or a specific thing, then you can kind of move on from there. And then obviously with the breathing. I actually talk about attention before I talk about breathing, because it's hard to grasp, especially for preschoolers. We all breathe. We do it automatically. How do you teach me how to breathe? No, we're not going to teach you how to breathe. We're going to teach you how the breath is really something that can be calming. And I bring on one of my props here, this is always good. The sphere for the breathing ball, and just even though we're talking through the screen, we can breathe together. So you can do this with me if you want, but I'll just expand it and take a nice deep breath. I'm sure you need some calming. And then relax and breathe out. And then one more time, breathing in and breathing out. And immediately this has a calming effect on me anyway. Me too. It does for children, but it takes some time and it takes lots of practice. But this just one thing can be, really good recognition for them to say, this is my mindful breathing. Maybe I can't see it because it's inside my body, but when I see the ball, then I know it's breathing. And then the belly breathing buddies, that's always a good one, where you lay down and you have the stuffed animal or something on your chest and you just watch it rise and fall. So just a couple of things there for helping kids with attention, with breathing. And those are good for parents. And then I wanted to say to you, you just launched the breathing with Toby the turtle, right?
Yeah.
Toby the turtle. Yeah. So that's another good resource right there. I mean, I don't make them all up. I grab from everybody that has things. That and like with Dr. Willard's, the alpha breaths. That was
Yeah.
a really good one. Yeah. So there's lots of resources out there. So that's just an example of attention and breathing. Another one might be sensing. Okay, sensing is very important, and there's, the neuroscientists can talk about this,
Yeah.
but switching from the thinking mode into the sensing mode, and that seems to have a calming effect as well. So if you can get out of your head, so to speak, and more into your senses, it's really helpful. And different types of activities. Let's see, mindful eating is a good one. Listening to sounds, walking in nature. I mean, just looking, observing, looking at a butterfly or looking at a leaf and seeing the intricate veins and things like that. And I tell you, I'm going to share an experience with you with one of my faux pas, things that went wrong. So I was asked to come into the classroom and teach some third graders. And the teacher said, okay, I've got a lot of boys in the class, and they're very animated. So I said, okay, this is great. I know exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to do creating a rainstorm. And I don't know if you know this one where you create a rainstorm. So you have them snapping their fingers, rubbing their hands together, pitter patter, pitter patter. So to set this up, if I had to title this, I would title it "Use Your Words Wisely." So I said, I want to open up with a question with these kids. So I said, okay, class, do you know that you can make sounds with your body?
Oh, gosh.
What ensued with boys that are animated? So all kinds of sounds were coming out of their body. They're making all these, sounds. And so I was embarrassed, of course. And I said, okay, you got me. So that's just one, example of, choosing your words wisely and really, but it was fun. And, the point I got, they were engaged. They were listening to me.
I'm sure they were. Yeah. And I'm sure they did make a rainstorm in the end, right?
Yeah, at the end, I was orchestrating, okay, you did this and this. It was beautiful. It was a beautiful experience with them. So it got a little bit PG-13, but I'll
Yeah.
So let's see here. What else? Oh, okay. So if I'm going through the vowels, that's the A and the E on the alphabet with the I. So I is for investigate. And this has to do with exploring the physical sensations in the body. Again, there's a lot of science behind, if you can get out of your head and more into your body, then you can provide yourself with some relaxation. And there's one, Dr. Copen, which she studies relaxation training in children. But for the adult version, it's called progressive muscle relaxation, where you tense up a muscle group and then relax it and do a series of all major muscle groups, tense and relax. And it really has a way to release some anxiety in the body. So, but her version, I really like. It's called Squeeze and Relax, and you use all different kinds of animation. So let's say lemon squeeze. So you tell the students, pretend like you have lemons in your hand. You squeeze all the juice out and make some lemonade. So that's just tensing and relaxing the muscles. And then as a shy turtle, maybe this is Toby the turtle. Pulling out he's shy. He's trying to hide his head into a shell and then relax. And we know that's the shoulder shrug, right? So that's a really good one for relaxation. So really teaching the children to explore those physical sensations, because oftentimes, especially the little ones, will say, oh, I have a stomach ache.
Yeah.
So do you have a stomach ache, or are you upset? So, there may be something else going on there. I have a headache, or maybe experiencing some anxiety. So trying to teach them to be in tune with their bodies. And then just physical movement in general, I don't like to use the word yoga too much with some of the classes, just in case the parents or teachers don't want that kind of language. It's becoming more and more acceptable and popular. But so instead of calling it a tree pose, we call it the flamingo. And so we just stand on one foot. A flamingo can stand on one foot for hours at a time. So that just things like that one. And then one of my favorites is the rag doll. And I tell them about Toy Story, if you remember Sheriff Woody. So he's all, he's like a rag doll. So you're just bending yourself forward and just little things like that to move the body. Again, it gets out some of that excess energy so they can relax and get back to learning. So those are just some examples. I
Yeah,
can keep going if you want. Or
I love those. I love them all. So, what about some examples maybe of things that you find work well, or some tips for when we have to do this on a Zoom call um, with a group of students? Do you have any tips or things that you know work particularly well?
I think it's just, when you're saying this, and I'm looking, and we're communicating the best way we can. We
Yeah,
can't reach out and hug each other, but we can use our gestures. And so I think it's teaching that to them as well, is to make sure let's really tune into each other. Maybe let's put our binoculars on and see what you can notice about that person as you're looking at them. And one of my favorite quotes is, let us always greet each other with smile, because a smile is the beginning of love. So, and that's Mother Teresa. But that's, if we smile, and it makes those feel good hormones kind of light up a little bit. So I think that's one of the things is trying to do a little bit of body language and reading that and understanding, and if you see something that doesn't look right, talk about it,
yeah,
ask questions
yeah.
about it, really kind of look into that. So
Yeah, I think, it's so important to remember it's about the connection, right? So whether it's online or
right.
in person. Yeah. So Jana, tell us, so I've been lucky enough to already read Jana's book. So it's called U for Understanding, like the letter U. And so tell us about, first of all, when the book is coming out, and then tell us about your inspiration for it and what the book is about.
Okay, great. Thanks for the opportunity. So hopefully the book will be out next month. So it should be coming very, very soon. But it's based on my guidebook, The Vows of Mindfulness. So it kind of follows those activities and such. But as I was writing it, and I'm thinking, this is a good resource for teachers and for parents. But I thought, storytelling sparks the imagination. So if I can get a story about this, and oh my goodness, my juices just started flowing, and ideas just kept coming. And so what it's based on is Claire, which she is an 8-year-old girl. She's very spunky and very curious. She has a colorful imagination and a short attention span. So she's learning about mindfulness in her school, and her teacher, Miss Wise Sage, is passionate about capturing their students' attention, one breath at a time. So it's really based on an 8-week journey of Claire and her friends and her classmates learning about mindfulness. But most of it just seems like fun and games. They do lots of different activities, and they kind of grow more connected to each other. There's some bullies in there, but they, come together in the end. So it's just a good story that I think that goes along with the guidebook, or it could sit, it's a good bedtime story, or it can be read in class. I think what really makes the story is the illustrator, the artist. She has been amazing. She's done watercolors, and she just totally embraced herself into the story and created things that I wouldn't even have thought of for the visual.
The illustrations are beautiful, and I think it's such a relatable story, isn't it? It's something that students go through. Yeah, and I love that the characters so relatable, and all those stories are things that children go through, right? They're typical things that we see on a day-to-day basis, and then bringing in the skills of how to kind of navigate that is wonderful. I love books for helping children to kind of understand topics. I think it's one of the best ways. They love reading and stories and using their imagination, and then can kind of weave in so many messages. So yeah, so congratulations on it. Yeah.
Thank you. It was a fun project for me, a fun thing and a lot of it was based on experiences that I had with children. So, it is lifelike encounters, So,
Yeah, exactly. And where will we be able to get the book? Is it going to be on Amazon, or is it yeah,
that's
yeah.
the plan right now. That's the plan, is it'll be on Amazon.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we'll have the link to pre-order the book, and then once the book comes out, we'll let our audience know as well, remind them that it's now available. And yeah, beautiful illustrations. And very captivating stories in there. So yeah, so just before we end today, Jana, is there any last thing you'd like to share with the audience or any last thought?
I just think, with the current situation, all the best to everybody, and just, we're all in this together. So we need to stay connected. And if there's anything that I can offer as far as mindfulness, if you're new to it, if you send me a message, I'll be happy to send you some of these activities we talked about, share them that way. But, just try some mindfulness. You'd be surprised that you're probably already doing it. So, please reach out to me, and I'll be happy to reach back to you to help support
Thank you. Well, thanks so much, Jana, for coming on and sharing today, and congratulations again for the book. I'm sure it'll be a great resource for many parents and teachers, and stay safe.
Yes, you too as well.
Thanks.